Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you didn't know, last night the entire world lost its doggone mind. There was a major event that happened. Look at this post. This is from Thomas Van Linge. The strike on the Al-Ali hospital will probably be an escalation beyond any point of return. Unrest already taking place in Ramallah, which that's in the West Bank. That's like the capital city, Jenin, and Hebron. Oh, and here we go. Here is as we start this video, there's a rocket attack. Let's head over here. Looks like it's by the southern part of the Gaza Strip, just outside that, into Israel. Okay, so what happened? Well, a hospital was struck, and both sides are claiming that the other side did it. I tend to have my point of view, what actually happened, and I'll share that in just a minute, but the important thing is I'm not so sure it really matters the truth of what happened, because the Muslim, the Arab side, those that are against Israel are going to look at it in their way, and things are escalating out of control. I don't think there's any convincing them that it was actually Hamas that did, or not Hamas, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad that did this. So we'll get into that. Iran posted something very concerning on its the Iranian embassy in Damascus of Syria. They posted a very ominous warning. Yeah, it's almost like every single day that goes by, there's some new escalation, and we're just like inching closer and closer to day zero. So before we get into this, let me give you the update on the Flood the Earth challenge. I've only updated one thing because I haven't had time to update more of the shares of the Book of Mormon, but I forgot to update one very important one that was sent to me by Joanie from the Joyous Genealogist channel. It's right here, Joyous Genealogist. I'll put the link for this in the description below. She primarily focuses on genealogy, as you can tell by the name of her channel. And her mom got baptized. And her sister is starting to talk to the missionaries. So I've known Joanie for a little while now, and we've talked a lot about her mom, and this was a very unlikely thing to happen, and yet it happened. And here she is. This is Joanie. Here's her mom, and she's crying because she's happy. Have a couple other pictures. Joanie's mom and sister. All right. And then there she is again by the person that baptized her. And then the sister missionaries. So that brings us to 30 total baptisms as a part of this challenge. And then 87 total reports of people meeting with the missionaries. So for the month of October, that's our first baptism. And then we've had 9 people reported as having met with the missionaries. So we are doing really good. Congratulations to Joanie and her mom. It's really good news. Everybody keep it up. Oops, I got to change the date on this. That was the 17th, yesterday. Okay, so we'll go over all the chaos that's been going on since last night, and it has been quite a bit, and it seems like we are now in a new phase of escalation. And then after that, I wanted to show you something that I've been working on. I've added a new misconception to my common misconceptions spreadsheet. The misconception is, these aren't signs of the second coming. We haven't seen anything yet. So we're going to do that. And then I added another one. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Yeah, right here. Topic, fear, misconception. I should fear the events leading up to the second coming. And boy, oh boy, is there a lot of that in this second coming community, especially on the Facebook groups. Okay, so what happened last night? It's just so crazy when things happen, like big things happen, because at first, you know, there's the fog of war. You're not exactly sure what's going on, but you start seeing all these like posts on social media, in this case, Twitter. And it's just like, what is going on with this hospital? And then it just like, the posts get more and more severe as time goes on, as like there's the fallout from whatever the event was. So in this case, this is from Mario Nawfal. Breaking it, Gaza hospital bombed. Reports claim that the Israeli forces targeted the Baptist hospital in Gaza, resulting in 500 plus casualties so far. So obviously a hospital, that's definitely off limits when it comes to war. You don't bomb civilians, you don't attack medics, doctors, medical facilities. And so you can see how this would cause a lot of rage. And 500 people is quite a bit. Let me go back here. I should pull this up. Let's go to, let me find it really quick. Timeline, Israel final war. Okay. I haven't updated the death toll since last time. I'm not sure that it's changed a whole lot. But as you can see, on the Israeli side, last time I updated this, 1,300 people had been killed as a result of this conflict. And then it's harder to say with the Palestinians, but it seems like it's about 3,000. And so if that's true, that 500 people died, then that's a big increase in casualties. It would go from about 3,000 to 3,500. Already, you have to go back. Let's see. Let me look at the Palestinian side. You have to go back to the second Intifada that started in the year 2000. It lasted several years. And the total casualties from that, deaths, is somewhere between 47 to 5,500. So we're not really near that so far with this war, but the war is only beginning. And so if there was 500, it'd be a big leap forward to catching this number right here. And there's only a couple other wars that have seen so many deaths. I mean, the War of Independence, well, okay, those numbers are pretty, the estimates vary quite a bit, so I'm going to leave that out. But anyway, you can see the numbers here, when you look at column G, 1,000, 5,000, 2,000. So this is already pretty bad at 3,000. So if it went up to 20 or 3,500, then even worse. Okay. So this is what initially was coming out. Hospital hit. Nobody knew exactly who. Of course, the Palestinians would blame the Israelis on like an airstrike. And then the Israelis, what did they say, or what did they think happened? They think that essentially there was as part of their rocket barrages that they send off, that one of those rockets, because it's not like they're the highest quality things in the world, one was like a dud, and it actually landed in the Gaza Strip, and it just so happened to hit the hospital. So that was the Israeli point of view, or at least what they were investigating. And I'm doing this in chronological order, so this is how things were when I first got on X. I'll show you how things have developed since that time. Here's a post from Trey Yingst. He's with Fox News. Is he? Yeah, he is with Fox News. Or I've seen him on Fox News. The region is on the brink of a much larger war. Every piece of info must be critically analyzed. Yes, I've seen the videos from the hospital and the ones claiming it's a misfire. Hamas officials tell us it was an Israeli strike. The Israelis tell us they are investigating. Okay. Now, here is supposedly a picture, and I think that this is accurate, of the hospital right here in the bottom. And then up here is a picture of a crater that was caused by a J dam. So basically what they're saying here is that hold on, let me just read what it says here. This is Israel Alma. Quote, I was a U.S. Army forward air controller for nearly 6 years, trained and experienced in airstrikes, artillery strikes, ordnance effects, and crater analysis. The Al-Ali hospital blast was not caused by any ordnance the Israeli military in the Israeli military inventory, period. Senior staff member of Alma Center. Okay, so From that analysis, it wouldn't have been from Israel. But then on the other side, when you look at this picture down here, this bottom one, does this look like this would have killed 500 people to you? Because that's the claim. The claim is that this killed 500 people. And I'm no expert, but I wouldn't think so. I would think that to kill like 500 people, it would have had to hit like the hospital itself, like the building, and it would have had to have been packed with 500 people, and then all of them die. So I don't know. And this looks like it's out kind of like in the parking lot area around the hospital. Here's a video. This is from Visegrad. First video in daylight of the Al Ali hospital. It looks like the parking lot in front of the hospital took the main hit. So, I mean, I don't know. You be the judge. I'm assuming that these images and video is correct. I don't know. Here's a video that shows the rocket barrage, and then if you look at this area right here where my mouse is, you can see kind of like once this is done, this is where the hospital is, and this is where you see the explosion right there. So it seems to me, I'm not trying to be biased, but it seems to me that it probably was as a result of one of these misfired rockets. I can't imagine Israel bombing a hospital that is currently in use. I don't know. That's just the way it seems to me. But it doesn't matter because, like I said, everybody lost their minds. The Jerusalem Post, Hezbollah announces day of unprecedented anger against Israel. Biden's visit. And so that's today. Today is the day of unprecedented anger. We'll just have to see how the day unfolds, but already since last night, things have been crazy, as I'm about to show you, all across the Middle East, as well as outside, all those in other countries that support Hamas and the Gazans. Okay, so today, unprecedented day of anger. Let me just read a little bit of this. Lebanon's Hezbollah denounced what the group said was Israel's deadly attack on a Gaza hospital and called for a day of unprecedented anger, quote unquote, on Wednesday as protests erupted outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut just hours after the incident. And it was not just in Beirut, Lebanon. It was in many different countries, as I'm about to show you. Iran-backed Hezbollah, which fought a war with Israel in 2006, made the call for the day of protest in Beirut in a statement late on Tuesday after Palestinian officials said hundreds of people were killed in the strike on the hospital. All right, I'm going to move on from that. Now look at this. So Iran warns time is up in ominous message to Israel as concerns mount of a World War III. And I think that these concerns are well-founded. I think there's a lot to point to the very real possibility of World War III. So what is this talking about? What's this New York Post article talking about? It's talking about this tweet from Iran Embassy DAM, which is short for Damascus, so Syria. So when you click on this, okay, you can see that the message is in Hebrew, not the hashtag, but the main message. It's in Hebrew block script. And what does that translate to? Let's go ahead and translate it. Time is up. Iran yesterday was talking about the fact that within hours there was going to be a preemptive strike on Israel. And they've just been saying over and over again how they can't stand by and watch, that they're going to have to intervene. So I guess only the coming hours or days, maybe weeks, will tell if that's true. But according to them in this embassy post in Syria, time is up. That is quite ominous. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to just repeat myself. I think that everything that's going on right now has been planned for many years. We know that, or it seems logical because the attack on the 7th of October was very well coordinated, very sophisticated, and according to the articles that I've read, would have required the help of like a state like Iran to help coordinate those events. And everything feels very choreographed, like it is very well planned out. And I've talked about the fact that if they're serious, if Iran and its proxies are serious about destroying Israel, they need as much support from the Muslim world and outside the Muslim world as possible. So to do that, they have to make the Israelis look as bad as possible. And the way it seems that they're doing that is they've provoked Israel to do a ground invasion. They basically put them between a rock and a hard place where they have to do a ground invasion and destroy all of Hamas. That's why I think the October 7th had to be as brutal and horrible as it was. It's basically like it was both a tactical operation, but it was also a psychological operation to get tempers going and flaring. So they've gotten Israel to the point where Israel's going to do a ground invasion, which by itself will inflame things and make many Muslims across the world upset. But then on top of that, you have this that happened at the hospital. Now, I can't say if it really was a misfire from a rocket. Maybe it was. I highly doubt that it was Israel that would have bombed a hospital. But I'm also not ruling out the possibility maybe they actually meant to hit the hospital, because it's playing out to their favor, isn't it? It's enraged people all across the world, as we're about to see. You're about to see the rage that's going on in all these different countries. So it's a little bit too, I feel like it's a little bit too beneficial to their cause for it to just have been an accident. Right. So, but I don't know. I mean, looking at this, okay, so let's go back here. So you have all the rockets that are firing and stuff. You can see them all the way up to here. And I don't know, after that, the flames go out. So I don't know, maybe there was a rocket that just like went whoop. But I feel like with that short distance, you may have like seen it. I could be wrong. I'm just saying maybe by some other means they set off that explosion, or maybe it was from a rocket, but there's just a lot of questions. That's all. Okay, so I have these countries in alphabetical order, so starting with Jordan, and I put all the main videos that I reposted, but before looking at them, I just want to show you that I was able to verify that this was actually taking place. The reason why is because those that support Hamas, they would want to make things seem bigger and worse than it actually is by possibly posting false or like old videos that aren't even from right now to make things look like really big and bad and to help make people upset. So, but no, this is from Independent. Protesters attempt to storm Israeli embassy in Jordan. And then you have Barron's, thousands protest in Jordan outside Israel embassy. And here are the videos. So you see a lot of people here. This is from Sprinter, which is like a pro. They seem to be on the side of Hamas and the Palestinians. Protesters in Jordan demand the opening of the border with Palestine. This is in Irbid in Jordan, according to this post. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that protests like this were going on. Jordanian protesters try to break into Israeli regime's embassy in Amman, or Amman. That's the capital city of Jordan, which of course would be why the embassy is there. Jordanian demonstrators burn the Israeli embassy in the Jordanian capital. Okay, so they were pretty upset up there or over there in Jordan, right next to Israel. Remember, basically, the Jordanians and the Palestinians are, from my understanding of history, they're ethnically the same people. So it's not hard to see that there'd be a lot of supporters of the Palestinians in Jordan. And here's Amman right here. Here's the Jordan River, and it's just basically on the other side of the Jordan River. Okay. Now this is from the Independent. Americans warned, do not travel to Lebanon as Beirut embassy is set on fire. Okay, so a lot of embassies being set on fire. Jason J. Smart, Lebanon is out of control. A giant convoy moves toward the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon. This is against the backdrop of 2 U.S. air groups in the Mediterranean. He's referring to the aircraft carrier strike groups. One is the USS Gerald R. Ford, and then the other one was the USS Eisenhower strike group. Okay. From Sprinter, the French embassy was stoned by the Lebanese. Looks like there's a bunch of bricks and stuff right here, but then you have riot control forces, police officers here. Palestinian and Hamas flags were raised on the wall of the French embassy in Beirut by Hezbollah's supporters. Gabriela Colarusso, some 2/300. I don't know what that means. Oh, like 2 to 300? Is that what you mean? Some 2 to 300 protesters gathered in front of U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanese army trying to push them back with tear gas. All right. Now, Tunisia, barons, thousands protest at Tunis French embassy after Gaza hospital hit. So there was even stuff going on in Tunisia. Mass demonstration of the Tunisian people in front of the French embassy to condemn the events committed by the Israeli regime against the people of Gaza. Although it doesn't look like there's too much violence or anything going on there, but this is the only video that I saw coming out of Tunisia. Reuters, fury grows in Turkey against Israel, fresh protests planned. This is an article from today, as you can see here, updated 2 hours ago. So, again, Hezbollah called for an unprecedented day of anger. So we'll have to wait for a little bit later today to see how that unfolds. But, okay, so Turkey. Right? Is that? Yeah, fury grows in Turkey. Israeli consulate overrun. Protesters in Istanbul, Turkey overtook the Israeli consulate. This is in NATO's Turkey. The situation in the Arab world and Iran tomorrow will be horrific, referring to today. Yeah, this is, the Global Day of Jihad was, like I said, there were a couple like small attacks, like lone wolf attacks on individuals. There were also very large protests, but I'm not sure that met Hezbollah and Iran's goals. That's why it's so suspicious to me, because they are like getting a lot of support. They're getting a lot of people angry. But I would say that the Global Day of Jihad, it was kind of a dud from what they were calling for, or it was kind of just like lukewarm. So did they decide to do this, like to take it to the next level to achieve their psychological warfare goals, to try and galvanize, support throughout the Muslim world against what's about to happen? Because these people, they seem pretty upset. It seems like this is doing it more than the Global Day of Jihad. Mario Nafal, the Israeli consulate in Istanbul, Turkey, has been overrun after protesters broke through a police barricade. And there you see There you see them climbing over that like guardrail or fence right there. Protesters set fire to the Israeli embassy in Turkey. Tens of thousands of protesters outside Israeli consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. There are a lot of them. Okay, look at this. Jason J. Smart. Situation outside of the Israeli consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. The Middle East is spiraling out of control. It will get worse tomorrow. Again, that's today. So these fireworks, I think, a little bit more symbolic than tactical, but it gets the point across that people are upset and they wish that those were actual missiles hitting the embassy. But look at that crowd. There are a ton of people there. Okay. Anti-American protests in Turkey as McDonald's there is being destroyed. The protesters were mere pawns in the larger geopolitical games of Iran and Russia, who are 100% behind these hordes of violent protesters. Yep, I agree. This is just another form, in my opinion, of color revolution. Not that they're trying to like take down these countries. They're not trying to take down Turkey and Lebanon, but it's basically this like weaponization of rallies and protests and in violent protests. You know what I mean? I have a hard time believing that this is organic, that that the bombing of the hospital was a mistake by either side, whatever the case may be. Well, again, I don't think that Israel would bomb the hospital. So I feel like this was intentional in order to get this effect that you're seeing right now. Turkish anger is uncontrollable. Hundreds of people are marching toward the Koracik base in Turkey's Malatya province, where U.S. troops are stationed. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's why they have all their emergency lights on. I doubt that this is a funeral that's taking place. Here's another video. In Malatya, the Turks surrounded and stormed the American military radar base, Kurachik. Oh, that's how it's pronounced. Kurachik. I doubt that they got onto the base. It looks like on the other side of the fence, there's some military personnel. But it would seem that this did happen. In fact, I think it mentions that in this Reuters article. Let's see. Military. No, I had it somewhere else. It's just, I don't know. It seems like to me like that happened, though. Okay. Now, the West Bank. Israel-Gaza war. Protesters clash with security forces in Ramallah. And this would be like not Israeli security forces, but Palestinian security forces, or like Palestinian. Well, it says it right here. Let's see. Tear gas was fired at demonstrators protesting in the city of Ramallah in the occupied West Bank after a deadly blast at a hospital in Gaza left hundreds dead, supposedly. This is from BBC. And by the way, that's like been a big thing. Like all the Western media has been going with the story that it was Israel that bombed the hospital and that hundreds are dead. Anyway, protesters opposed to the rule of the Fatah-led Palestinian Authority clashed with Palestinian security forces. The AFP news agency said people in the crowd called for Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to quit over his response to the conflict between Israel and his political rivals Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Now, if they're successful at doing that, at getting rid of Abbas, then that basically is what color revolutions do. So it seems like in the case of the West Bank, this color revolution may actually change the government there. Potentially. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay. We already read this. I'll just read it again. This is from Thomas Van Linge. The strike of the Al-Ali hospital will probably be an escalation beyond any point of return. Unrest already taking place in Ramallah, Jenin, and Hebron. Chaos could easily spread to Jerusalem and Jordan as well. Hezbollah seems to be ready to ignite the front in Lebanon. And I saw reports that Hezbollah it's been confirmed that they are prepared and intend to carry out a full-scale war. So if that's the case, that's obviously a big problem for Israel. Israel's a small country. It's not like they have as large of an army as the United States. And so you get too many people joining in, then your forces start to get spread thin, your forces and your resources. Daniel Siedemann, regardless, this is a very dangerous mega event. Ramallah right now. In case you don't know where that is, Ramallah is just right up here north of Jerusalem. This is like currently the capital of the West Bank. So that's where this is taking place. Excuse me. Let's go to the next one. Huge protests in Ramallah in the West Bank. Protesters are calling for the overthrow of Mahmoud Abbas. That'll be very interesting to see if they do, because it's been said by analysts and articles and stuff that essentially the government, right, the Palestinian Authority, the Fatah movement, they're like more moderate. They're not as extreme as like Hamas and these other terrorist groups. So it would seem like basically what these protesters want is they want for this moderate stance toward Israel to change. That I guess maybe they want to be like the Gaza Strip and Hamas and cause big problems for Israel. Al Jazeera reports that a demonstration was dispersed by force in Ramallah. Okay, you can see things really crazy right there. Okay, this is in Abu Dis, East Jerusalem. So now we're going from the West Bank to Jerusalem. And assuming that this is correct, I went ahead and I put it on Google Earth, Abu Dis. Where is that? Because I've been trying to kind of like keep track of where these different escalations are taking place in Jerusalem. And Abu Dis is right here. Okay, so this blue place marker is the Temple Mount. This one is the BYU Jerusalem Center. And so the newest one is down here. It looks like it's south of the Mount of Olives. Let's see. Or it's like maybe on the same ridge as the Mount of Olives, but just south. I don't know. I can't really tell. But it's you know, it's relatively close to the Mount of Olives. Okay. And you can see as like we have all these different skirmishes and flare-ups take place, and they're around the BYU Jerusalem Center, or at least uncomfortably close. You can see why the BYU students were taken to Greece, evacuated to Greece, because who knows where the next one's going to be. Okay. Violent clashes continue in Jerusalem itself. So I don't have an exact location for this, and I'm just taking this post's word for it. But I don't think it's an exaggeration, and I don't think that it's incorrect. Based on what I've been watching ever since this thing has taken place, there have been clashes and things taking place in Israel, or in Jerusalem. And then I just have this one. This is in Barcelona, where I serve my mission. In Barcelona, clashes occur between pro-Palestinian demonstrators and police. And this has actually been taking place in other countries, but I just thought I'd pull this one up. So that's where we're at right now, and today could be a really bad in a very dangerous day. Pray for peace. Pray for the safety of those that are innocent, and that this whole thing will calm down. It may take Christ himself to come to fix this, the way that things are going. Let's just put it that way. All right, so let's go ahead and let's tackle these misconceptions. So the first one, the topic is fear, the misconception. I should fear the events leading up to the second coming. This one drives me nuts because we are Latter-day Saints and we're continually taught, and if you read the scriptures, you know that the second coming is a joyous event, and that the Lord is going to protect his people. That's not to say that there's not going to be trials and stuff, but there's not going to be to the same degree. There's not going to be trials to the same degree as what the wicked experiences. That's why I have this other spreadsheet. Let me go to it really quick. Quotes A through Z. And go down. So right now it's on row 35, and it's called Future is Bright. And the general authorities keep repeating this over and over and over and over and over again. And yet people go to these little different second coming communities on social media and spread fear and get afraid themselves. And they paint very bleak pictures. And one of the favorite ones is to talk about the U.S. Constitution and how, we've basically lost our country, and to some extent that's true. But let's look at what President Dallin H. Oaks said in the April 2021 General Conference called Defending Our Divinely Inspired Constitution. He says, "Our belief in divine inspiration gives Latter-day Saints a unique responsibility to uphold and defend the United States Constitution and principles of constitutionalism wherever we live. We should trust in the Lord and be positive about this nation's future." We should trust in the Lord and be positive about this nation's future. And there are people that do the exact opposite of that. This is coming from a member of the First Presidency. He's an apostle. And it could well be that he's the next prophet of the church, the next president of the church. Listen to the prophets. It's okay for us to be on social media, discuss different things, but all of our theories and beliefs should give way to what the general authorities say. Because if anybody knows anything about the future, it's going to be them. It's not going to be Joe Schmo on this YouTube channel or this YouTube group or this Facebook group. Okay, so we're going to, at the time, it was President Dieter F. Uchtdorf, second counselor in the First Presidency, because this is from April 2017 General Conference, when President Monson, before he passed away. So let me read what he says. "Brothers and sisters, we are charged with studying the Word of God and heeding the voice of the Spirit, that we may know the signs of the times and the signs of the coming of the Son of Man. We are therefore not ignorant of the challenges of the world, nor are we unaware of the difficulties of our times, but this does not mean that we should burden ourselves or others with constant fear." I'm going to repeat that. "But this does not mean that we should burden ourselves or others with constant fear." Let me say this. This is me. If you're somebody that is promoting a bleak future, you're scaring people, that basically makes you a jerk, because you're not in a position to do that. You are not an expert, most likely. And even if you are, many times the experts are wrong. The only people that can speak with any authority on the future is the prophet and the apostles. And that is not the picture that they paint. So why are you painting that picture? Continuing, rather than dwelling on the immensity of our challenges, would it not be better to focus on the infinite greatness, goodness, and absolute power of our God, trusting Him and preparing with a joyful heart for the return of Jesus the Christ? Our general authorities, our leaders of the church, they speak to us so much. They tell us so many things, and yet we don't listen. We prefer to rely on our own understanding, on our own wisdom. We prefer to rely on our own strength and be afraid. And then again, that rubs off on others. It's horrible. Don't do it. That's not what the scriptures say. It's not what our modern prophets say. All right, let's move on. Let's go down to the next one. And it's usually the same people that make people afraid that promote this one. These aren't signs of the second coming. We haven't seen anything yet. All right, so this is from Robert D. Hale, Finding Faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, October 2004, General Conference. I've already gone over this one, but this is kind of what started me on doing this, searching for other quotes that have to do with this. Again, these are prophets, apostles, general authorities, people that are in authority to say what signs are and what they are not. So let's listen to them and see what they say. In this and other conferences, we hear living prophets prophesy and testify of Christ's second coming. We also witness of the signs and wonders all about us. This is back in 2004, telling us that Christ will surely come again. Are we choosing to believe their words? Whose words? Oh, the living prophets. So, are we choosing to rely on our own interpretation of scriptures and our own twisted view of the future that's distorted, incomplete, and not authoritative in any way? Or are we listening to the living prophets as they prophesy? Are we choosing to believe their words? Continuing. Or despite their witnesses, look at this, or despite their witnesses and warnings, are we waiting for more? Are we waiting for evidence? Are we walking in darkness at noonday, refusing to see by the light of modern prophecy, and denying that the light of the world will return to rule and reign among us? Boy, I'll tell you what, there are so many people in the LDS Second Coming community that it seems like they're waiting for evidence. You know, these aren't the signs of the second coming. We haven't seen anything yet. Just ever waiting for, I don't know what. Again, some like exaggerated, spectacular vision of the future that they've concocted themselves, rather than listening to the prophets telling us that the signs are happening right now. And I like this, walking in darkness at noonday. It's so apparent. Even if you don't do a YouTube channel like I do, or put together these spreadsheets, I would think that it's pretty apparent for many people if they're honest with themselves, they examine their lives and how they've experienced the world. I think it's pretty obvious that there's a big difference with how things are right now compared to just 10 years ago, right? Or before. All right, the next one is from Robert C. Oakes of the Presidency of the 70, April 2005 General Conference. Our prophet regularly points out that these are the last days. We know from the signs of the times that the end is drawing near, and Satan knows it as well. So The prophet knows it, Satan knows it, and yet some people don't know it for whatever reason because they choose to ignore it. They don't want it to happen. I don't know. Or they trust too much in their own wisdom and they think they know exactly how things are going to go. All right, the next one is from, at the time, Elder Henry B. Eyring. He was in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles in April 2006 General Conference. He says, the prophets of God have foreseen the times in which we live. The Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Anyone with eyes to see the signs of the times and ears to hear the words of the prophets know that the peril is great. This is a key concept. Eyes to see, ears to hear, right? And in this case, eyes to see the signs of the times. And he's talking about the year 2006. Okay, now at this point, President Henry B. Eyring, second counselor in the first presidency, April 2022 General Conference, he says, each of us, wherever we are, knows that we live in increasingly perilous times. My prayer is that I might help you stand steady in the storms we face with a peaceful heart. The place to begin is to remember that we are each a beloved child of God and that he has inspired servants. Those servants of God have foreseen the times in which we live. The Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Anyone with eyes to see the signs of the times and ears to hear the words of the prophets knows this is true. And yet there are members of the church that would argue against that. It's insane. And then the last one, this is from President Nelson, The Power of Spiritual Momentum, April 2022. All right, he says, we have never needed positive spiritual momentum more than we do now to counteract the speed with which evil and the darker signs of the times. To counteract the speed with which evil and the darker signs of the times are intensifying. So, according to President Nelson, you have the signs of the times. And he's saying that right now, as of 2022, we are seeing the darker signs of the times. So to those that would say, we haven't seen anything yet, well, that's in contradiction to what President Nelson says. He says that we're seeing the darker signs of the times. It seems like we are seeing something right now. Positive spiritual momentum will keep us moving forward amid the fear and uncertainty created by pandemics, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and armed hostilities. So there he just gives just a small sampling of the signs that we're seeing. Essentially the COVID pandemic. It's interesting that he brings up tsunamis and volcanic eruptions because at the beginning of that year in 2022, that's when we had the largest atmospheric explosion ever recorded by modern instruments. It was that volcano that went off near Tonga, the underwater volcano. It was the largest explosion. That includes man-made explosions. That includes nuclear bombs. This explosion from this volcano was the largest one that we have recorded. That doesn't mean going back throughout all of history. I'm just talking about that we have recorded with modern instruments. That eruption caused a tsunami that affected Samoa and Tonga. So he's essentially saying, it seems like he's referring to that, but of course that it would include all other tsunamis, like the 2011 tsunami in Japan, which was really devastating, and in other things. Spiritual momentum can help us withstand the relentless wicked attacks of the adversary and thwart his efforts to erode our personal spiritual foundation. And that's all that I have right now for that. So I'm going to find more. I was talking about in the last video how I want to do this other spreadsheet. I was about to do this other spreadsheet when I realized I should do this first. This misconception that I just added to this spreadsheet. But the new spreadsheet is going to be, I'm going to try and track the best that I can the last time and how many times, or I'm going to try and find how many quotes I can that say, no, the second coming can't happen yet because certain prophecies have to be fulfilled. I'm curious to see when the last time was that was said. I know that I've seen it back in the Journal of Discourses. You see it there semi-frequently. But as far as modern day general conferences, I'm not so sure about that. So if you have any quotes where a general authority says this still has to be fulfilled, this has not been fulfilled yet or whatever, feel free to send it my way. Send me an email. Please send me an email. It's easier for me that way. And I'll put together this spreadsheet in chronological order. And I'm going to search different phrases like not yet fulfilled or has not been fulfilled or things like that. So I can do this in kind of like a methodical way and keep track of what I've already searched. And once I have some on there, then I'll do a video about it. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.